Morning, students. Today we will discuss the movie Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. The movie is directed by Kim Ki-duk. Actually, we had discussed the four sections of the movie: spring, summer, fall, and winter. But only a few students were present in the online session at that point of time. So I thought I would discuss the film again. So you have to listen to this audio intently so that you will get an idea about the film Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. So Kim Ki-duk, probably most of you know him. He is an acclaimed South Korean director, and he is considered as one of the most influential filmmakers of all time. And his films, they are noted for their unique style and manner of making. He was born in the year 1960 and he died in the year 2020. And when we analyze his film career or film trajectory, we can see that Kim went to France to study fine arts, and France shaped the artist in him or the creative genius in him. And when he returned to his homeland, he won an award for the best script in a competition conducted by the Korean Film Council. This happened in the year 1995, and in the year 1996, Kim directed his first movie, Crocodile. And Crocodile was widely recognized, and people started to recognize, or other filmmakers, critics, they started to recognize the genius in Kim Ki-duk. This movie that you have to learn, spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring, it came out in the year 2003. Some other famous films of Kim Ki-duk are Samaritan Girl, which came out in the year 2004, Three Iron, which came out in the year 2004 again, then Time in 2006, Pieta in 2012, Mobius in 2013. And he has won many international recognitions like Golden Lion, Silver Lion, Best Director Award, then an award at the Cannes Film Festival. So he was an acclaimed film director. And as I told you in that introduction class, Kim Ki-duk was a familiar figure in our International Film Festival of Kerala. Okay, he was a familiar figure here. That is, he would visit Kerala. He would participate in the International Film Festival. So he was very common. Or the film people, the film lovers of Kerala, they adore him for the way he has created his films. So when we talk about his films, or when we talk about his concept of art, Kim Ki-duk believed that an artist must not be censored. We know that there are we have heard about censor boards. Okay, who the censor board will assess the final print of the cinema before it comes to the theater screens. So according to Kim Ki-duk, he believed that an art or artist must never be censored, and art is independent. Okay, it is a creative idea. ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളൊരു കവിത എഴുതുന്നു, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളൊരു സിനിമ ഡയറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, നിങ്ങളൊരു ഷോർട്ട് സ്റ്റോറി എഴുതുന്നു, അത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് ജീനിയസിൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്പാർക്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തോന്നിയ ഒരു സാധനമാണ്. അതിനകത്ത് പലതരത്തിലുള്ള സെൻസറിങ് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാലുള്ള പ്രശ്നം, നിങ്ങൾ എന്താണോ കൺവേ ചെയ്യാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത് അത് കൺവേ ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയില്ല. So art is independent, and he believed that an artist must never be censored. So when we come to his films, we can say that he that actually he was very different from other filmmakers because he deviated from the conventional path of filmmaking. Okay, he deviated from the conventional path of filmmaking, and we can see that a lot of his films explore sexuality. A lot of his films use violence to convey its message. So we can say that using he had immense freedom with his artistic freedom and courage. He experimented with cinema. Okay, because he believed that art is independent, he used that independence of art, that characteristic of art, to explore different themes and meanings in cinema. And we can say that if we analyze this film itself, spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring, we can say that this is a journey, or his films are a journey into the human psyche. We know that we human beings are a storehouse of mixed emotions. We laugh, we cry, we jump with joy. So we have these mixed emotions, isn't it? So actually all his movies, they are a journey into the human psyche. നമ്മൾ പലപ്പോഴും ഈ സൈക്കോളജിസ്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, വളരെ നമ്മൾ ബോധത്തിൻ്റെയും അബോധത്തിൻ്റെയും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബോധത്തിൻ്റെ വളരെ നേർത്ത ഒരു നൂലിൽ കൂടെയാണ് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും നടക്കുന്നത്. ഒന്ന് സ്ലിപ്പായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മറ്റൊരു ലോകത്തേക്ക്, ബോധത്തിൻ്റെ, ഫാൻറ്റസിയുടെ ഒക്കെ ഒരു ലോകത്തേക്ക് നമ്മളും വീണു പോകാം. So this Kim Ki-duk's film, they are a journey into the human psyche. മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ സന്തോഷം, മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ദുഃഖങ്ങൾ, മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ചിന്തകൾ. So the films of Kim Ki-duk, they are a spiritual journey into the human psyche. So as I told you, he used violence as a tool to convey his meaning, and he used to communicate about the complexity in human relationship. In his films, he probed the complexity in human relationship and used violence as a tool to communicate his message. So in the area of filmmaking, or in filmmaking, he was a controversial figure, and he was often criticized for his perverse style of filmmaking. And when we take a look at his films, Samaritan Girl, actually this movie is the story of two girls who had to resort to prostitution, okay, so that they will find a way to Europe. This film won him the Silver Bear Award at Berlin, and we know that Berlin International Film Festival. So it won him the Silver Bear Award. So then when we come to the movie Three Iron, it tells the film inquires about the relationship between a thief and a helpless woman. So it tells the tale of a thief who had to risk everything to save a helpless woman. So the movie has no dialogues, and this movie won him the Silver Lion Award for the Best Director at Venice Film Festival. Then another movie, Time, it shows the life of a couple, the struggles and conflicts in the life of a couple, the human emotions in their life. Then another movie, Mobius. Mobius is a horror movie, and the film has no dialogues, and we can say that it is a family drama, a complex, violent family drama. Then Pieta is about the relationship between a man and a woman who claims to be his mother. So it is rich with, from the title itself we can understand, it is rich with allusions or references to Christian mythology. And again, the relationship between a man and a woman who claims to be his mother. And the movie Pieta is noted for its explicit representation of sexuality and violence. So, if we look at the themes of the movies or the plots of his movies, we can say that all his movies explore the deeper meanings of human life, human psyche, and human relationships. Okay, then coming to this movie, Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. The film was released in the year 2003, and it is set in a floating Buddhist monastery. Okay, the film is available in YouTube. You can watch the film in YouTube, and it traces the life of a Buddhist monk through the various seasons in his life. Or we can say that spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring represents a particular stage in the life of a Buddhist monk. So, the early films of Kim Ki-duk, the early films of Kim Ki-duk, they are noted for its references to Zen Buddhism. Okay, then it is also noted for the relationship between, or the holy relationship between man and nature. Okay, from this arena of Zen Buddhism and man-nature relationship, Kim Ki-duk later in his movies, he moved to explore the relationship between human beings, the different layers of human relationships, and it was marked by violence and sexuality. So, spirituality and realism. Spirituality and realism, they are very marked in his movies, and he has not resorted to fantasy or magical realism. What is magical realism? If in a movie, we watch a movie in the 21st century, a movie which is set in the 21st century, and we see a man moving in a carpet floating in the air. The carpet is moving in the air, and a man is sitting in the carpet like Aladdin. So that is magical realism, isn't it? So we will not see such fantasy images of fantasy or images of magical realism in the movies of Kim Ki-duk. Okay, so then his movies, they poses some philosophical questions. What is philosophy? നമ്മൾ തത്വശാസ്ത്രം എന്ന് പറയും. ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ തത്വം എന്താണ്, അതിൻ്റെ മീനിങ് എന്താണെന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്. So it poses some philosophical questions to the audience about the meaning of life, about the meaning of being a human, etc. Then, and when we come to his characters, we can say that they have many layers, and it is not possible to easily understand those characters. നമ്മൾ ചില മനുഷ്യരെ കാണുവാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല, അവനൊരു പ്രത്യേക സ്വഭാവക്കാരനാണ്, പെട്ടെന്ന് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയില്ല എന്ന് പറയും. അപ്പോൾ അതുപോലെയാണ് കിം കി-ഡുക്കിൻ്റെ സിനിമയിലെ കഥാപാത്രങ്ങൾ. And he has also landed in many controversies. Okay, Kim Ki-duk, the film director, he has also landed in some controversies. That is, he was accused by several actors for sexually assaulting them, and the violence in his films, it was severely criticized. And what happened then was, after these controversies and all, he took a break from cinema, and he went into the mountains and lived in a tent for almost 3 years. So he retreated from his normal life and lived in a tent in a mountain. Then after this period in his life, he returned with a documentary in the year 2011, and he started his career again. So we can say that in his country, in his homeland, he was not given due recognition. Okay, because there were many criticisms leveled against him. criticisms against that is criticism in the manner with which he made a film, the violence that covered, or violence that was a hallmark of his films, it was severely criticized in many circles. So in his homeland he was not at all recognized, and he was an, I can say, an isolated artist. Okay, and as I told you, he passed away in the year 2020. And coming back to this movie, so it is set in a floating Buddhist monastery, and from the title itself, we can say that it traces the life of a Buddhist monk through the various seasons in his life. That is, spring represents a particular segment of or particular segment in the life of the Buddhist monk. Then summer represents another segment from his life. Then fall, winter, and spring. The title itself is cyclical, probably hinting at the cyclical nature of human life. So, as I told you, in the early films of Kim Ki-duk, we can find an influence of Zen Buddhism. So this movie is again related with Buddhism, and there are many references to Buddhist images and philosophy in this movie. Let us see about the movie. So the movie, which symbolizes the cyclical nature of life, is divided into 5 parts. Okay, the movie, which symbolizes the cyclical nature of life, is divided into 5 parts. And the first part, spring, shows a young Buddhist monk living with his master, with his guru. And the young Buddhist monk, helps his master and follows all his orders. Okay, you can refer to your text. You can read the text along with my audio material. So in a segment, or in a shot in the movie, the young Buddhist monk, he is shown torturing creatures like fish, frog, and snake by tying stones to their body. Okay, so the master sees that his young disciple is torturing the animal world. Okay, and as I told you, Kim Ki-duk's films explored the relationship between man and nature. Then the master, who sees his disciple enjoying pleasure from torturing these creatures, ties a stone to his back while he is sleeping. Okay, so the master, who sees this activity by the child, he ties a stone to his back, to the back of his young disciple while he is sleeping. So the young disciple is frightened in his state and asks for redemption. He pleads for his master for redemption. And the master points out his mistakes and asks him to release those creatures. And he tells him that if he does not do that, he will have carry the rock forever in his mind. So the master advises his disciple. And the first part, spring, ends with the young boy crying alone due to his guilt after realizing that the creatures he tormented cannot be rescued. So he realizes that those creatures cannot be rescued. So he cries out his heart. Okay, he cries hard and he feels very guilty. Then when we come to the second part of the movie is titled Summer, and it shows the young Buddhist monk in his teenage years. Okay, and sexual desires sprout in him during this period. I am reading from your text. And a mother brings her sick daughter to the monk so that she has a terminal illness to cure that illness, she brings her daughter to the monk, to the monastery. And the master asks this girl to stay in the monastery for a certain period of time. So what happens? You can imagine there is a romantic relationship between the young Buddhist monk and the daughter. That is in our previous class, I mentioned about Vaishali movie, how Vaishali goes to the forest to bring that monk, isn't it? So just like that, so we can say they engage in a romantic relationship. And what happens is the young Buddhist monk is drawn to the material aspects of life, and his spiritual surge, it dwindles, it diminishes. And the master, who is very vigilant, okay, he is very conscious about what is happening around him, and tells him that if there is lust, okay, ഇത് ഞാൻ മിസ്സ് പറഞ്ഞതാണ് ആദ്യത്തെ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ, അന്ന് കേൾക്കാത്തവർക്ക് വേണ്ടി കൂടെയാണ് മിസ്സ് ഒന്നും കൂടെ പറയാണ്. ഇഫ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ലസ്റ്റ്, ഇഫ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ട്രൂ ലവ്, ആൻഡ് ഇഫ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ലസ്റ്റ്, ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ലീഡ് ടു എ ഡിസയർ ഫോർ പൊസഷൻ ഫസ്റ്റ്, ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ലീഡ് ടു മർഡർ. Lust will lead to possession or possessiveness, and it will lead to murder. But because the boy is in his teenage years, he was not able to understand the advice given by his master. And what happens is, by the end of that second part, he leaves the monastery with the girl. Okay, because the master sees him engaging in sexual activity, he scolds him. He asks the girl to leave the monastery. The girl leaves the monastery, and because he was so enraptured or enamored by the feelings that he had for the girl, he also leaves the monastery. And I think he takes a Buddhist statue with him. A statue of Buddha with him. Okay, so there ends the second part of the movie, that is summer. And in the third part of the movie, fall refers to the season of autumn, where നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം autumn seasonൽ എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും, ലീവ്സ് ഇങ്ങനെ വന്ന് വീഴുന്ന നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് അല്ലേ. So the third part of the movie, titled Fall, in that third part we see the young Buddhist monk coming back to the monastery after committing a murder. Okay, അതിനകത്ത് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, ഞാനിത് കുറച്ച് ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു സിനിമയുടെ ഭാഗങ്ങൾ. നിങ്ങൾ തീർച്ചയായും യൂട്യൂബിൽ ഇത് അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്, അത് കാണുക. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഇത് വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒന്നും കൂടി ഇത് വ്യക്തമാവും. സോ വാട്ട് ഹാപ്പൻസ് ഇസ്, ഈ സേജ്, അതായത് ഈ മാസ്റ്റർ, ഹി ഗോസ് ടു ദ വില്ലേജ്, okay, to buy some essential items, and he sees a newspaper, and he sees a picture of his young disciple, and it is he understands that this man is needed for the murder of his wife, or this man, the police wants to arrest the man for the murder of his wife. So what happens is, the young Buddhist monk, he returns to the monastery after committing a murder, and it is later understood that he killed his wife. And probably that lady, his wife, must be the young girl with whom he was infatuated. Then the young Buddhist monk confesses his mistakes to his master, and what happens is, the master gives him some advice. The master tries to soothe him, and finally, after listening to the words of the master, he is relieved a little bit, and two detectives come to the monastery to get him, and he finally goes with them. Okay, and in the final part, or the last scene of that part, it is fall, we see that the master builds a pyre, ഒരു അഗ്നികുണ്ഡം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ചിത, and a pyre in the boat and burns himself. We know that it was a floating monastery, so he builds a pyre, jumps into the fire and kills himself. Then coming to the next part of the movie, it is titled Winter, and the young Buddhist, he is now in his middle age. He is back at the monastery, and a woman comes with her child, leaves him there and tries to escape. Okay, a woman comes with a small boy. She leaves the child there and tries to escape, and she accidentally falls into an hole in the ice and dies. Okay. So the young Buddhist monk who is now in his middle age, he attempts to do penance by tying the statue of Buddha to his body and climbing the hill. Okay, and he is depicted as meditating on the top of the hill. Okay, he is meditating on top of the hill, and this part is next followed by the final part, and spring. Okay, and spring, which means that life is cyclical in nature. Okay, life is cyclical in nature. So in the last part we see a repetition of the first part, spring, where the boy left by the woman, കുറച്ച് മുന്നേ ഒരു സ്ത്രീ ഒരു കുട്ടിയെ അവിടെ കൊണ്ടുവന്നാക്കിയെന്ന് മിസ് പറഞ്ഞു. So where the boy left by the woman is living with the monk, and this boy tortures animals just like the Buddhist monk, that is just like his master in his childhood. And the film ends with the shot of the Buddha statue on top of the hill. So this is the plot of the movie. Please do watch the movie. It is available in YouTube. Please watch the movie. So I have just given a brief synopsis of the plot. So spring, summer, fall, winter and spring. This movie, as I told you, it gives us deep insights into the relationship between humans and nature. It is based on Buddhist philosophy. It shows the cyclical nature of life. In different forms and structures, everything repeats itself. Okay. Then there are shots in the movie where the young Buddhist monk is seen torturing animals. So the Buddhist philosophy preaches about the importance of every creature in this earth. Humans are not superior by any means according to Buddhist philosophy, or according to any philosophy. Humans are not superior, and they should respect other living beings inhabiting the earth. And this philosophy is reflected in the movie when the master teaches his disciple the value of life. He tells his disciple not to harm creatures, not to torture creatures. And it also throws light on the idea of karma. നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്താലും അത് എന്ത് നല്ല കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്താൽ അത് നമുക്ക് നല്ല കാര്യങ്ങളായി തന്നെ തിരിച്ചു വരും. മോശപ്പെട്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ആ മോശമായി തന്നെ ആ മോശങ്ങൾ നമ്മളിലും വന്ന് ഭവിക്കും എന്നുള്ള കർമ്മയുടെ ഒരു ഫിലോസഫി. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഓൾസോ ത്രോസ് ലൈറ്റ് ഓൺ ദ ഐഡിയ ഓഫ് കർമ്മ, because the disciple is taught about the results of his actions. Because the disciple, we see that he, after the murder, he comes to his master for redemption. Okay, so as I told you, there are many symbols used in the movie. The dog, hen, cat, snake, turtle, they are all symbols. Okay, so every animal stands for a symbol. Then there are Buddhist images and symbols used in the movie. Okay, and when we talk about other aspects in the movie, it is a spiritual journey We can also say that it is a spiritual journey into human psyche. Then there are only minimum dialogues in the movie. Okay, then seasons are represented, or in the form of different seasons the never ending cycle of life is represented. Okay, then the floating monastery, it is a representation, it is a metaphor of the human mind, isn't it? Human mind, which is a mixture of different emotions and feelings. Okay, it flows like a river, it flows like a lake. So the floating monastery is a metaphor of human mind. Then okay, then the first part of the movie, it shows the child's actions and the master's words that teach him about the acute pain of regret. The second part is a collision between spirituality and sensuousness. Then the third part of the movie, it is about the third part of the movie, the crux of the third part is about the idea of remorse and realization. The young Buddhist monk, he commits a murder, he realizes that it is a grave mistake. Then, and when we come to the fourth part, winter, so he atones, he redeems, he tries to purge his sins. The young Buddhist monk tries to purge his sins. And the final part, where the young Buddhist monk has now become a master and he has a small boy with him, and that small boy is his disciple. So the final part, it puts forth the idea of the never ending repetitive nature of human life. So what is the meaning of the movie? No guru can ever substitute experience, and humans have to face life and learn its ways in the hardest way. So experience is the greatest teacher. Okay, the disciple was warned by his guru, that is, when he tortured the creatures, or when there was a collision between sexuality and spirituality, his master advised him, that is, his master advised him that lust will lead to desire will lead to possession, and possession will lead to murder. The young disciple was not ready to understand that teaching, that lesson by the master. But when he had to pass through a severe ordeal in his life, he understood the meaning of life, the meaning of spirituality, the meaning of penance, the meaning of repentance. Okay, so that was what Kim Ki-duk was trying to prove through the film. And Kim Ki-duk himself appears in the movie as the middle-aged monk. And the film won many awards and recognitions. Then there are, in your textbook, a sentence is given about the cast of the movie. Then the cinematographer of the movie, yes. So to conclude, the movie Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter and Spring, and it is a modern classic, and it will remain as a milestone in the annals of Asian cinema. Okay, that is, നമ്മൾ പറയത്തില്ലേ, men may come and men may go but I will go on forever എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, അത് ഷേക്സ്പിയറിൻ്റെ ഒരു വരിയാണ്. So just like that, a film is just like that. People may come, people may go, but it will go on forever. നിങ്ങൾ ഡീപ്പ് ഫോക്കസിനകത്ത് സണ്ണി ജോസഫ് സാറിൻ്റെ ലെക്ചർ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അദ്ദേഹം അതിനകത്ത് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, ഡെത്ത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സിനിമയെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് മരണം എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിൻ്റെ പൂർണ്ണ അർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഒരാൾ മരിച്ചു എന്ന് പറയാൻ കഴിയില്ല. കാരണം ഇപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ സത്യൻ്റെ സിനിമകൾ കാണാൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കും, ജീവനോടെ അദ്ദേഹത്തെ കാണാൻ സാധിക്കും. കിം കി-ഡുക്ക് മരിച്ചു, പക്ഷേ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ സിനിമകൾ നമുക്കിപ്പോഴും ആസ്വദിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. അദ്ദേഹം ചില സിനിമകളിൽ അഭിനയിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പം ഇതിനകത്ത് തന്നെ ആ മിഡിൽ ഏജ് മങ്കായിട്ട് കിം കി-ഡുക്കാണ് വരുന്നത്. സോ ഡെത്ത് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ആൻ അബ്സല്യൂട്ട് എൻറ്റിറ്റി in terms of cinema. So this will remain an evergreen classic of Asian cinema. Okay, I hope this movie or the plot and idea of the movie is clear to you. Please read your textbook. Okay, students, thank you. We will discuss the next lesson in our next session.